Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Todd McFarlane Day. It is Friday and we are starting the weekend off right. Before we look at this comic though, do want to mention we are on the road to 250 subs here at Big Baby Reviews. Once we hit that magical number, we're going to have a special video for you. Looking at my analytics, I do want to thank my 160 plus subscribers as of today, I think, for subscribing, and I hope you're still enjoying the content and the videos that I'm putting up. Thank you for being there, but you are basically looking at the analytics, only 11% of the viewership. The other 89% of people who are watching these videos are not subscribed. So if you were so inclined, it would really help me out, help the channel out, help get the name out there, help spread the Big Baby gospel to more and more people. So if you're so inclined, please subscribe and like the videos, and feel free to comment and ask questions anytime you wish. So enough shilling. We're going to move on to today's issue, The Amazing Spider-Man 305. This is late September 1988, so we're in a period where Todd McFarlane is just burning the candle at both ends and doing a bi-weekly schedule on Spider-Man. So basically two issues a month. Yeah, an issue every 2 weeks. So, I do think some of the drawing, is a little bit more simplified, and that's understandable because he's doing twice as much work in a month. And this issue particularly, he's got a whole bunch of different inkers helping him out. So he's doing all the penciling, but not all the inking. I have noted down, though, those pages that he is inking, and we're going to be looking at them because I don't want to be going back and forth with all the other inkers and stuff, but we're going to focus more on the pages where he, McFarlane, actually inked his own artwork. So the cover here, not horrible, but definitely I would qualify it as a deadline cover, probably done fairly quickly, and just to have something done to move on. Not particularly any of McFarlane's best covers, I would say. It's got some of the McFarlane detail that we're starting to see, and of course the trope of the big cape and stuff, but other than that, not a super memorable cover, just kind of all right. So let's crack it open and have a look inside. Yeah, this is definitely a reader copy, which is fine. So, okay, so looking at the list, page 1, definitely inked by McFarlane here. So I think you can see that in most of the inks on the costume and on the facial features and stuff. So pretty okay splash page. Here's, Exhibit A of the argument of, we know Spawn was created way before this, the original kind of version, but I definitely think some of the things he picked up along the way drawing this character, the Prowler, was it Dr. Death, or I forget his name, from Infinity Inc., the Skullface character with the cape, and later on when he's going to use Ghost Rider, right? So I think some of those elements kind of creeped into his revamped version of Spawn. Although a lot of the original elements were there, the only difference I really see, it's like I even throw in Deadpool a little bit for Spawn. It's the idea of, Spawn used to have kind of just big eyes when he was originally designed by McFarlane as a teenager. And then it was to throw in that extra little, just the actual eye within that pattern. So the eye becomes a pattern rather than the actual eye. I'm saying eye a lot. But Deadpool kind of has that design as well, right? So we turn to page 2 and 3. We have another inker doing a pretty good job, I gotta say. Like, all these faces, these cartoony faces, look pretty McFarlane-ish. They're easy to recognize. McFarlane's still doing kind of a thicker lined, slightly more classic look to Spider-Man, even though he's started doing the bigger eyes. There's still a bit of a Romita senior flavor to it. At least in the design, of the webbing and stuff. But, he can't help himself. McFarlane's got this little flourish where the cap of the pen is in Spider-Man's mouth. And McFarlane was one of the first artists to do this kind of thing, if I remember correctly, right? Of, kind of seeing the mouth occasionally through the mask, doing certain things. So I think maybe one of the first instances of that here. You see it again in this shot here. I mean, it looks funny, right? But I enjoy it. I think it's pretty cool. So sign some signatures, some autographs here, and then flying off, or rather swinging off. So that was page 1, 2, 3, 4 is not inked by McFarlane either. Although whoever is inking here, I would say from what I remember from his artwork at that time, is being fairly accurate in the inking, except maybe these lines here. There's a few things that kind of stand out. But overall, the effect is pretty McFarlane-y, I guess what I'd say. So here's where things start to fall apart because, you know, it says that this is page 5. Let me count again just to be safe, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And 5 is supposed to be inked by McFarlane. And I'm looking at this page, and if I had to guess, I certainly wouldn't guess this is one of the pages inked by McFarlane. So I think somehow they got the count wrong, because this definitely feels slightly more pedestrian and Marvel 80s Marvel house style inking, more so than McFarlane, right? You're getting very few of the McFarlane flourishes within. The broken pinky is always a good touch, right? I'm trying to figure out, like, there's no way I can move. That looks like a broken pinky. But hey, McFarlane just has a way with hands, right? He likes drawing weird looking hands. I mean, that's a proto Spawn shot right there, if I've ever seen one, right? Could almost be Spawn here too, right? So we're going to forget about the pages inked by McFarlane because, you know, I mean, if I had to guess, maybe this one? It's tough to say. This one definitely not inked by McFarlane. That's fairly obvious. You know, this face here is pretty McFarlane, but it kind of veers off. Again, this is a period of Marvel where, you know, I'm not that interested in the storyline per se. I'm more interested in the art. And we're still getting a lot of, kind of the same thing as when I described Dale Keane on The Incredible Hulk. We're getting a lot of panels, you know, that shooter kind of way of storytelling, the mid shots and stuff. Here's McFarlane doing a bit of beefcake stuff. Not yet quite the fully formed McFarlane that we're going to get to know, but we'll see a few of his staples here, like this vertical panel. I do want to throw in here, I don't believe either the inker really changed or editorial or something came in and redid the faces here. I assume that's supposed to be Johnny. Yeah, Johnny Carson. I guess they thought this looks more like him, and it doesn't to me. I would have liked to see the original kind of pencils of how Todd McFarlane interpreted Johnny Carson. That looks nothing like what I would imagine Todd McFarlane would naturally do. Yeah, again, love that tropey setting the scene, building vertical panel that McFarlane does. Yeah, some of the inking's not doing any favors here. So looking at this page, I could almost believe that McFarlane inked this page on his own. Again, it's hard to say because of the way he's still doing that old school, wider, spaced webbing. But some of the details on the lips and stuff, and it's starting to look like him. So I would guess that this might be a page inked by him. Some more, like, isn't that, again, a proto spawn shot? I got it after, what, 3 tries there? One thing about, I want to mention this here, I always thought was clever. The fact that you get the shot inside and you get a bit of the, you know, the wall above the window, some sort of device to indicate that they're listening, right? And just Spider-Man's hands and the Prowler's hands, that obviously he's got the claws, so he's kind of dug in. I just think that's a pretty clever panel, pretty interesting, something you don't see a lot of in comics. And one thing I will say about McFarlane's kind of Spider-Man poses, they're awesome. You know, he kind of came up with that super flexible, bendy kind of Spider-Man pose. But later on, he does do it better, I feel, than here. There's a period where, for some reason, it just feels like his foreshortening's a bit off, and the thighs, Spider-Man's thighs, are like insanely huge. So here's some more of interest art. Again, not quite solidified yet. Not the best Spider-Man, honestly. But you definitely get some Spawn tropes here with the Prowler once again. I do really like this panel here. You know, it's a bigger panel with, once again, insert panels here. But I just like this section here, I feel is very cool, well done. And just the overlap here works well. Not obscuring anything important again. You don't want to be doing that when you do this kind of overlap. And, you know, none more Spawn, if I'm to quote or partially quote Spinal Tap, this cape here, none more Spawn other than the color. This, I would say, feels mostly like possibly inked by McFarlane. And if not, the artist, the inker did a really good job at being fairly accurate and close to what McFarlane's laying down. Another example of McFarlane doing like weird cartoony things. If you can see it here, Prowler's smiling and you can kind of see it through his mask, even though it kind of doesn't make sense. He would push that later. He does it with Spider-Man a lot. Another cool foreshortened Spider-Man pose. He's doing a lot of those. Can you imagine always having to come up with something a little bit different, something a little new, slightly different angle? One leg forward, one back, then the other leg back, the other one forward. I wonder if you got to keep track and try not to repeat yourself. See this here, and probably inked by someone else, Spider-Man starts to feel a little more classic, more so than McFarlane-ish, right? Almost reverting back to the John Romita Jr. kind of model. And we get two extremely thin vertical panels. I feel like he planned for one. He's like, no, two. Oh, I'm sorry, there's three. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how well it works. I don't think it doesn't. It's McFarlane's interesting style. I don't hate it, right? I guess it was necessary here. Maybe for being economical with the storytelling to make sure he establishes enough of this, next part of the story as opposed to Spider-Man and the Prowler together. But all around, other than the cool shots of the Prowler, another pretty pedestrian issue. Some people have accused the Image guys of being, horrible writers and this and that, but I do feel like, once McFarlane, once Liefeld are writing their own comics, whether or not they're the best stories in the world, there is more excitement overall, right? I'm not saying it should be all excitement all the time, but I do feel like the Marvel stuff at this time is quite pedestrian overall. It's the word I keep using. And those Image guys, when they come in, they start off that way, but they're pushing their style, right? They're creating a new style, and the new 90s kind of modern style at that time, right? They are somewhat revolutionary in artistic and technical terms, right? That's kind of what I'm going with there. So there you go. That is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 305, late September 1988. Did you enjoy this issue? Did you enjoy the artwork? Did you enjoy seeing McFarlane inked by someone else? Do you not enjoy it? Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Any questions, concerns, feel free to let me know. And hope everyone out there has an awesome day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.